Hey comic fans, Dave here at Ground Zero. It's Wednesday morning. That means it is time for your weekly look at what's new on the shelves at your favorite local comic book store. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Dave, I'd love to come into the comic shop, but it's just too hot. Can't these books wait until the heat breaks, in, say, December? To which I say the nay, absolutely nay. As long as there is ink in our veins, the books cannot wait. And yes, I've always wanted to say the nay, so lifetime ambition fulfilled. But there's a lot of great releases this week, so let's dive right into the highlights. First off, from DC Comics and mega hot writer Tom Taylor, we get Superman, Son of Kal-El. Now, there's been a lot of anticipation for this book because we finally get to see Jonathan Kent take over fully as the new Superman, with the old Superman himself off with the Authority doing Lord knows what. Either way, it's definitely been building up a lot of steam lately, although that could just be the humidity. Either way, 22 pages, all new and in color. Now the cover itself gives me the warm and fuzzies, obviously very reminiscent of the earliest Superman, but inside the book is really, really contemporary. I read it last night. Yes, definitely it's mostly just setup, but it's good setup as Jonathan Kent ponders just what kind of hero he needs to be for the new millennium, and gets off to a really good start by rescuing people from a raging wildfire. So, brand new hero, new millennium, and a raging wildfire. It's like a Superman book, but one that's written in 2021. Let's see what that's like. Meanwhile, over at DC still, Action Comics and Detective both come out this week. First off, we get the regular Action cover with the giant logo and all that sort of stuff. Very nifty. But we also get this really cool cardstock variant with all the different Superman iterations all there together in painted glory. I've had some people already call me up and ask about this cover. I do have a limited number of copies on the stands, so if you want one, come grab them up because I got a feeling they will be selling out. Also, its kind of pseudo-companion title, Detective Comics, is also in this week, where we find Bruce Wayne behind bars. I don't need anything more about it because I haven't read it yet. That could be a problem, though. Couple more books from DC that I will mention. Robin continues its really fun run. Now, Robin has actually been more popular lately than he has ever been before, although here he's actually turning to Ra's al Ghul for advice. I don't think that's a particularly good idea. We'll have to buy the book and see how it pans out. Also, we get Icon and Rocket, two heroes together in one book as the Milestone Universe relaunch continues. Now, Milestone's a company that did not get the love they deserved back in the 90s, so we'll see if the 2020s are more kind to them. Either way, two heroes in one book, brand new. One more from DC that I will mention, because Batman Reptilian drops the big number 2 this week. Now, this has both a really cool story by Garth Ennis and exceptionally cool painted moody artwork by Liam Sharp. But you don't care about that. All you really want to know is, Dave, is it Batman or is it Reptilian that drops the number 2? I can't answer that. It could be both. That would be cool. Either way, it's out this week, so come in and find out. Now, speaking of number 2, earlier this month, July 7th to be exact, Marvel Comics unveiled the brand new series, United States of Captain America, where Captain America travels the nation looking for his stolen shield and encounters all sorts of other Captain America-inspired heroes. But Fox News absolutely lost their poop about it, calling him Captain Woke and Captain Propaganda, and saying all sorts of terrible things, and really calling for people just to not buy this book. So we'll see how that pans out. Either way, new issue. He drops his own number 2 this week with him venturing into a new area and meeting another brand new Captain America-inspired hero. So, folks, there you are. You can follow Fox News, or you can follow your heart and read a cool story that's a little bit challenging, but also actually very cool and certainly a lot of heart into it. Either way, it's in this week. Defy Fox News and buy this book. A couple more I will mention. First off, a book that I actually read last night, Amazing Fantasy #1. This premise really intrigued me because it's a very pulpy fantasy-inspired premise. In it, we get a handful of Marvel heroes, particularly Captain America, Spider-Man, and Black Widow, all seemingly die and then wake up, find themselves in this fantasy world where they're battling winged griffins and Uncle Ben is still alive. Very cool, actually. A lot of cool potential in this book. We'll see, but the big thing is it's very, very pulpy. It's got pulpy dialogue. It's got pulpy art. It just absolutely oozes pulp right out of the pages. So if you like that kind of thing, this is definitely tailor-made for you. And it's actually kind of tailor-made for me. So either way, Amazing Fantasy #1 starts this week. Also, brand new starting this week is Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads, another Symbiote Spider-Man title from Peter David. Now, Peter David, actually very cool guy in the comic industry. Needs your love. Buy this book. You support him, and you get to read a cool Spider-Man story at the same time. Last Marvel book I will mention today is Fantastic Four, because we all know I love the Fantastic Four, and in this particular book we find out what actually happens with Zora, the potential bride of doom, and what happens with her indiscretion, revealed last issue. Either way, it's here, and it didn't exactly play out like I would have expected, so if you want to know, you'll have to pick it up and find out. That's it for the big two. We'll move over to the indie books, where we find Spawn still parting like it's 1992. We get all the things that we've always gotten from Spawn: dynamic, super mega colorful covers, and just about more splash pages you can ever cram into a book, with lots of flowing capes and tons of spikes, more spikes than Texas Power Grid. Either way, it's all here. If you just can't let the 90s go, you're in luck, because neither can Tom McFarlane and Spawn. Meanwhile, I was having a conversation with a customer later today about Skybound X. Now, I've really been kind of pushing Skybound X because actually I think it's a lot of fun. We get space aliens, we get, cyborg chicks with guns the size of medium-sized Toyotas. Either way, most of you have voted against fun. So now this customer says to me later today, says, but Dave, why am I not buying this book? Because I cannot in good conscience vote for fun. If I vote for fun, what kind of message will that send to the comic book companies? They'll think we want this stuff. We want our comics to be light and frivolous and just entertaining. That shall not happen, he said. Or will say, whatever the case may be. Either way, he will say that, and I will say to him, aha, but despite all the fun, despite the space aliens and all that kind of stuff, did you know this book has a new story by Donny Cates? That's right, a brand new Donny Cates redneck story, to which he said, curses, my vow to buy everything Donny Cates does foils me again. It does. It's a celebration of all things Skybound, which means Walking Dead, excellence, so many really cool series that Skybound has produced over the years, all celebrated in this 10-year anniversary series, which is almost over, by the way, and it's a ton of fun if you can handle that ton of fun. So either way, thank you, Donny Cates, making the world safe for fun comics again. Meanwhile, over at Vault, now Vault has absolutely been on a roll. We have had so many Vault titles sell out and people demanding more. So we'll see what happens with their latest one. This one is called The Last Book You'll Ever Read. It's by writer Cullen Bunn. Really nifty premise, because it is about a book that if you read it, you are inspired to madness, insanity, and homicidal tendencies, and could very well cause the entire breakdown and chaos of society. What book is that, you ask? Is it Hunger Games? Is it Twilight? My vote is for Twilight. But no, it's a book called Satyr, and if you read it, you're just going to start murdering people and chaos in the streets and all sorts of stuff. It's by Cullen Bunn. He did Harrow County. He does really good writing. I thought the story was really good here. I'm not so keen on the art, but Michael actually liked the art just fine. So either way, you want to give it a try. And in case that didn't get you, it is full of gory, bloody violence. So there you go. If the story's not good enough, I had you at gory, bloody violence. So, last book you'll ever read. Meanwhile, also from Vault Comics, you're probably wondering, gee, you talked about a whole bunch of number ones, but only a couple of number twos. Where's the poop jokes? Well, here we go, because Barbarian from Vault Comics, you remember it came out a few weeks ago, and just sold out instantly. Everybody wanted more copies, so we get a second printing of the first issue. That's right, it takes a big, bad, gory, violent, bloody Barbarian to drop number 1 and number 2 at the same time. You're welcome. Not only that, but he also then drops number 2. So he drops number 1 and number 2, and then drops number 2, and wow, it is just Technicolor goodness. Either way, bloody, violent, over the top, but a lot of fun. Barbaric, it's here. From Vault Comics. They're on a roll. Also dropping number 1 and number 2 at the same time. 2 other books definitely worth a note, because they're both really good books. Noctera. Now, I've sold so many copies of Noctera number 1 that I can't imagine there's anybody out there that still needs a copy of this book, but you don't have this cover, and you don't have her dropping number 1 and number 2 at the same time, so you'll want to add that to your collection. Hint, it's probably done in a certain amount of light, even though this is a book about darkness. Either way, it's here. It's a great series. If by some chance you haven't tried it yet, definitely you want to pick this up. One more. It's a good book that has actually been very popular, but not quite as popular as some of these others, and that is Two Moons. So it also drops number 1 and number 2 at the same time. And with a title like Two Moons, you can fill in your own jokes. Another new printing of a book, this one is actually the 3rd printing, I believe, is of Nightwing 78. This is a book that just keeps being in demand, even with multiple printings and stuff. And we get a brand new cover that may actually be the coolest cover yet. Either way, Nightwing is riding high. Just when you thought Nightwing was done for, he has come back stronger than ever. So this series has been just super, super popular, and it's on the stands now. Okay, trades. Not a lot of trades this week. I would have skipped them entirely, but we all know that will not happen. Plants vs. Zombies. What do I need to say about Plants vs. Zombies? It's got plants, it's got zombies, and apparently they fight each other. So who wins? My vote's on the plants. For no reason. No, they get top billing. Also, a book that I would absolutely be buying if I didn't already have these both in floppies and in hardcover omnibus collections, in many cases in multiple times, and that is Conan the Barbarian. This is reprinting the 70s Marvel stories by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. Really good stuff. Because I've picked up the omnibuses, I've been rereading these. They're a lot better than I'd remembered them being. Honestly, I used to kind of think of them as just Monster of the Month when they would come out. Actually, they're really good stuff. This is really what made Conan just a household name in the 70s. If you haven't read these books are great. They really give you a lot of stuff to read in a nice big thick trade paperback. So it's a great way to pick up and read big chunks of Marvel goodness. One more thing I'll mention trade paperback wise, and that is a new printing of a Suicide Squad book. Now, this is stories by John Ostrander. John Ostrander is one of our favorites here at Ground Zero, really a terrific, terrific writer, and his stuff deserves a much wider recognition than it usually gets. So in this case, we're getting a brand new printing of this book with a cover, obviously, taking off from the new Suicide Squad movie, which looks pretty good, actually. So, even if you've read these stories, buy this book so that Ostrander at least will get a little bit of love, and you get this cool new cover to get you all set up for the new Suicide Squad film, which I hope lives up to my expectations. One last thing I will mention. That's right, it's previews week. Brand new previews in. Now, this is the first month where obviously they have no DC, haven't had for almost a year now. But Marvel Comics. Now, Marvel is in here, but a lot of shops will be ordering their Marvel Comics from Random House, so the industry is absolutely going over a lot of changes. Either way, it's here. Previews is this mega thick catalog with everything pretty much not DC that you want to know about upcoming things in the comic book universe. So if you're a true comic book fan, you live by this book. So I don't have to tell you, but either way, it's in this week. Well, that's it. No cookie for Dave today, because, man, I have blasted right by that 10-minute mark. Sorry, folks. Next week, we'll try to keep it under. Just so much to talk about this week. Either way, we're happy that you're here. Wherever you're at, brave the heat and go to your local comic book store. They absolutely need your love wherever they may be at. And as always, remember, it's not about having what you want. It's about wanting what you have. Stay dry, stay cool, and stay safe, everybody.